right, y'all, we will go ahead and get started. I do want to make mention of Caden Hackney, who had pretty extensive oral surgery. He's here tonight, so he looks like he's doing okay. But he's gone through a lot of surgeries anyway. So we're hoping, they're hoping he's going to be good. He looks great. He's in good spirits. So anyway, I personally hate doing work. That's like the scariest thing ever. But he's just been through a lot of that. Anyway, any other things people need to mention immediately tonight? Developments this week?
Gerald,
Do it now.
Gerald?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
That's a good question. Anybody know about Gerald?
Good and bad days. Yeah, he's at home, but Granny's also like super hurt now too. So it's awesome. It's a great.
She's hurt?
She had been up on her knee too much and it buckled, and now she can't really walk. So
Your mom
just
just
tag team.
I did ask your mom. Her mom said that her dad, Gerald, had a really good day today. And so they're hoping that with hospice and everything, right?
Yeah, it's like we can go like 12 hours, it's amazing, and then like the next 12, it's not. So we're just kind of
Day to day.
we're just on edge.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Anybody else? Other developments? We are without Gary tonight.
He's traveling right now, so he should be home tonight.
In the rain? Well, I guess it's not super raining where he is. Is it raining where he is?
Okay.
All right. Pray for Gary either way.
Is it raining or
It's raining where I'm at, so once it gets here, it'll be raining.
Either way, pray for Gary. All right. All right, y'all. We're going to conclude our marriage class. We did this month for marriage Sunday mornings. We were doing Suitable for Me, which is a study of Ephesians 5. And then tonight we're doing biblical marriages. Not necessarily successful marriages all the time, but biblical marriages. As a reminder, where we're going in May, we're going to start Little G Gods.
Yay!
Thank you. One person is excited. All right. Sunday mornings, we are going to be talking more about the nations themselves, the civilizations, the culture. So we'll be digging into more historical stuff. And Wednesday night, we'll be focusing more on the spiritual, biblical side of it. So the gods themselves. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if anybody else is, but I'm going to nerd out for a whole month. So if you're not into that, bring a pillow and a blanket, snuggle up. Tonight, what I want to do is look at Acts chapter 18. Acts in chapter 18. And the final couple that I want to talk about is one that I think is very relevant to us, especially being couples in the church. How do we use our talents? How do we use our love and appreciation for each other to benefit the whole? That's kind of what Ephesians 5 is talking about. Ephesians 5 starts out with submit to each other, the whole church, the whole body, and it kind of breaks down different pieces, and it ends the chapter with marriage. So marriage does play a role in the greater scheme of the church, as we're going to talk about tonight. So Acts chapter 18, someone get for us verses 1 through 3. Acts chapter 18, verses 1 through 3.
After this, Paul left Athens and went to Corinth, and he found a Jew named Aquila, a native of Pontus, recently come from Italy. I think I have my glasses. With his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded all the Jews to leave Rome, and he went to see them. And because he was of the same trade, he stayed with them and worked, for they were tent makers by trade.
A lot of information we're dropping right in the middle of the book of Acts. So I guess decrypt this for me, like sort of demystify what's going on. Who is Paul?
Apostle?
What?
The apostle.
Oh, Paul the Apostle? It's not just a random dude named Paul. Thank you. See, you think at first you're like, everybody knows that, then nobody answers. And you're like,
Feels like trick.
right? So, right? Paul the Apostle, where is he leaving?
Athens.
Athens, Greece. Okay, so going from one big city to where?
Corinth.
Corinth. Huge major cities in the grand scheme of history. What is he going to do? Like, why is he going from city to city?
Learn about tent making?
What?
Learn about tent making?
Tent making? He's got a career. Something.
Going to the synagogue or teaching, basically.
Teaching, he's starting churches, right? Making disciples, starting churches, right? That's the whole thing he's doing right here. Verse 2, he found a Jew. I love how the Bible sometimes just says a Jew, like it just describes like this person. It's just, that's what he is. Found a Jew named Aquila, a native of Pontus. This is kind of beside the point. Anybody know, history nerds know where Pontus is? It's in Turkey, modern day Turkey, Asia Minor. Probably the most famous city that we would know in Pontus is Laodicea. Sound familiar? It's one of the churches of Revelation. So Laodicea, it's kind of in the, not really the middle of nowhere, but it's the old Hittite Empire, long gone, but it's sort of one of these regions. So he's not originally from Corinth, he's not originally from Rome, but why is he in Corinth right now? Not a trick question.
Is that just where he felt like going next?
Do what?
Is that just where he felt like going next?
It's in the verse 2.
Oh.
It's not, I'm not trying to trick you. Why is he in Corinth right now?
He went to see them.
To the Jews.
That's what my Bible says.
He went to see the Jews in Rome.
Is it
He
because
was-
Jews that were leaving Rome.
Claudius's
Yeah, so-
command?
Do what now?
Claudius's command?
The emperor said the Jews got to get out of Rome. It's not the first time it's happened. It's happened a few times. Particularly historically, the Jewish people were really hard to govern. They had particular laws. The community would get together to worship the gods and have feasts, and the Jews were like, that's tainted meat. And the Romans were like, what are you talking about? So anyway, it comes to a boiling point. They just say, get out. This is about 5 years, this span, this time when they get kicked out. So him and his wife, Priscilla, they're like, where do we go? Well, there's a big city over here in Greece. Let's go to Corinth. So verse 3, because he was of the same trade, he stayed with them and worked, for they were what by trade? What does that mean? Again, this seems like, okay, thank you. This seems like simple questions, right? What does that entail? I know he's a tent maker. What does that look like?
Carpentry.
A little bit, right?
So leather working.
So leather working, sewing. Mhm. Yes,
So, am I to understand that Paul was also a tent maker as well?
that's what it says.
Wow.
Yep.
All my years, 52 years, I didn't know that.
Are you being facetious?
No, I'm being serious.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, serious.
See, we're asking questions,
I didn't
guys.
know that.
Yeah, so that,
I
and
just kind of skipped over that.
he was we would consider a blue collar worker, right? It's a pretty common theme in early Christianity. Jesus was a carpenter. A better understanding of that may be like masonry worker. We would say construction now, build houses. Rome was coming in, building a lot of infrastructure. Jesus probably was doing that for a trade. Paul, likewise, making tents, selling them on the side. In the meantime, preaching the gospel. Great tent. Awesome. Have you heard about this Jewish Messiah named Jesus who died on the cross and resurrected? No. Thank you for your time. It's one of those situations. Any questions so far? We're in the city of Corinth.
Was this like a second job for Paul?
It was like his first job.
I mean, besides going around killing Christians before.
Oh, yes. Before he was a professional, trained to be a professional Pharisee. Found a trade persecuting the church. Yeah, which was probably pretty lucrative and got him a lot of like thumbs up from the Jewish community.
We all got to be good at something.
Yeah. And his fallback plan after the road to Damascus was, I guess I'll make tents and go into Greek cities and spread the gospel. Yeah. Anybody else? Good questions. We're all caught up to speed?
Did Paul have a contractor's license?
That's a good question. I'm not sure there were such standards at this time. Buyer beware, as is. He's like, you can get mine or Demetrius's tent. I'll let you decide. Right? That is actually a good point. What would be the stigma of a Jewish man in a Greek city selling merchandise? Remember, Paul is like, he looks like a Jew. People would ask, probably consider himself a Jew. What was the mandate out of Rome just now? Get out of here. So Corinth, other cities like that, probably flooded with Jewish people. And the Greeks are like, what are y'all doing here, right? And so it's a little bit of stigma going on. Everybody good? All right, so he meets Priscilla and Aquila. Aquila is the man, Priscilla is his wife. So let's go verses. Let's just do 4 and 5. Acts chapter 18, verses 4 and 5.
And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and tried to persuade Jews and Greeks. When Silas and Timothy arrived from Macedonia, Paul was occupied with the word, testifying to the Jews that the Christ was Jesus.
So before we go further, technically Paul's on the run. Technically. There were some Jews around Macedonia, not happy, so he kind of made his way down the coast over to these cities. He's waiting for his comrades. They finally get there, Silas and Timothy. When they get there, Paul's busy. He's working. Continue. Let's go verses 6 through 11. Someone brave and long-winded. Verses 6 through 11.
Six.
6 through 11.
No judgment when I start this.
Oh, we won't
But when they opposed him and blasphemed, he shook his garments and said to them, "Your blood be upon your own heads. I am clean. From now on, I will go on to the Gentiles." And he departed from there and entered the house of a certain man named Justus, one who worshipped God, whose house was next door to the synagogue. Then Crispus, the ruler of the synagogue, believed on the Lord with all his household, and many of the Corinthians, hearing, believed and were baptized. Now the Lord spoke to Paul in the night by a vision. "Do not be afraid, but speak, and do not keep silent. For I am with you, and no one will attack you or hurt you. For I have many people in this city." And he continued there a year and 6 months, teaching the word of God among them.
Paul usually goes to synagogue. He tries to reach the Jews first. Why would he do that? There's a few reasons. Why would Paul go to the Jews first?
It's first to the Jews, then to the Greeks.
Yeah, it's part of what Jesus said. And when he commissioned his disciples to go out, you'll start here and you'll go out and out and out. Paul takes that as a literal step.
But there was also some receptiveness because they were primarily religious people, whereas the Greeks were
Yeah, and they know the Hebrew scriptures.
everybody else.
Yeah, you're trying to convince them that a Hebrew Messiah came. You got common ground. Like there's less work to do initially. That's the idea anyway, right? He goes to the synagogues. They're not having it. These are not the literal exact same people, but the same religious group of people who kicked him out of Macedonia. Same group of people earlier in his career who tried to stone him to death, and he walked back in the city. He's had it. And it says he shakes his garments out. What does that mean?
Kind of like, it makes me think like when you just dust your hands off.
You're
You know
like,
what I mean? Yeah. Like,
Jesus said something to his disciples, shake your feet off, like, or take your sandals off. Like, don't even carry the dust that's placed with you. Like, you were done. D-U-N. Done. Anybody get that? We're asleep. That's fine. He's done with them, right? And he says, where are we going now? What's the next step? Not a trick question. Verse 6. From now on, I will go to the Gentiles. We're done with y'all. I'm going to the Gentiles. And then we have a slew of Gentile names. Titius Justus, a very Roman-sounding name. Crispus, ironically, the ruler of the synagogue. How do you feel the Jewish people would think about a Roman-sounding person being the ruler of the synagogue? Boo, we don't like that, right? But these are very, very Gentile people, right? Paul's a little apprehensive in verse 9. Should I keep doing this? Or, we had problems in the past. And God speaks directly to him, or Christ speaks directly to him. Don't be afraid, but go on speaking, and don't be silent, for I'm with you. No one will attack you and harm you, for I have many people who are in the city. How long does he stay in Corinth?
year and a half.
A year and a half. Is that pretty substantial work? Weirdly, I've been at my job at Capstone for like a year and a half. I mean, I'm not saying it's forever. Sometimes it feels like it. No, nothing bad against my boss. But But it's a significant amount of time. A lot of times when we think about Paul doing missionary journeys, he's like speaks for a Sunday and they have a potluck and he's like deuces and doesn't stay for Sunday afternoon. No, like he's rooted here. He has a job. He's staying with Priscilla and Aquila. Like he's doing work here, right? And it's hard work to do. And he's kind of afraid. Questions or comments so far?
Yeah, I've always found that interesting that he can just go to another city and just start a job like he's going to stay there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and I think that in some way,
Shows commitment.
I think in some way Paul embodies the gospel because he's not stuck on one particular, it has to be here. It has to be to this group. It has to be in this language. I have to, you know what I mean? I mean, this showing the gospel is highly flexible. I mean, it's meant for the world. So Paul, being an apostle of the Gentiles, is flexible, like it is. Questions, comments about that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting that your mind can sometimes wonder, what do they do on their off time?
Yeah.
Like, who's he hanging out with at night?
Yep.
Is it people that he's converted, which you would think so?
Right.
They take him in, give him food and shelter.
Maybe a couple named Priscilla and Aquila, who he's living with, mayhap. Right. We're getting there. Let's go ahead and read verses 12 through 17.
I was gonna say real quick, sorry.
Okay.
They also didn't have like the type of distractions we have. Like when I went to the Ukraine, they had Bible studies and stuff every day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we were there, it was because that was their life. Like,
Yes.
so I'm sure he's probably working all day and then coming home, they're having studies and stuff at night.
Yep.
I mean, they didn't have like TV. I mean, I know they had ways of entertaining themselves, but I feel like when we don't have those outside distractions, the commitment to God is more strong.
You're right. And a crazy concept, what if the people he's converting, they are also called to go into their own world and make disciples? And then their friends who are converting have questions and they're like, IDK, I'm pretty new to this. Why don't you come back home with me to a guy who's spoken to this guy Jesus directly? Is that something that you think the modern church is lacking?
Yeah. I think we need more in-home Bible studies. I feel like there are some people that they're not comfortable to like go forward in the large part. You know what I mean?
Why?
Like I feel like
What's alarming
they're
about
gonna, I
that?
feel like in smaller groups, I'm not talking about small groups, guys, calm down. Okay. I just
Calm
think
down, Chad.
like if we got together more intimately and met at each other's houses, I feel like the study would go further. I feel like more people are going to be likely to like speak up, ask questions, not feel like they're dumb for asking certain questions that they think they want to know.
And I think this speaks to a disconnect between, I don't mean this bad, but the way that we do Christianity and the way that it was done here. It was an everyday thing. And the Bible studies aren't always planned. It's not like, all right, guys, at 6 o'clock, we're going to have the Bible. I mean, it's on their minds all the time. It's constantly being talked about. They're living life together, which is harder for us to do because we live further away. We have other jobs, etc. Yep.
to that point, there's a group of men I saw working, this was in Memphis, and I was just passing, and I guess I had my window down. These guys, I don't know, they were doing some electricity something, and I guess that was like a transformer there, and they had one of these Bluetooth speakers, and that thing, all it was talking was Bible. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of thing you come around often,
No, that's not a good way to do it. Yeah.
Just regular life.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing.
That's a part of our struggle is that we feel like everything has to be official.
Mhm.
Like we have to have an opening and closing prayer, and or else that's the only time I can really get Bible.
Yeah.
Like it has to be confined to these four walls, and they didn't have that problem.
Well, you probably also worked with the tent makers, right? Like, I mean, they probably worked along with them,
Yeah.
and so you build a relationship. I mean, like I know me and you, like we go to lunch together, or even we'll be in the office together. Sometime we'll start talking about the Bible, or we'll start talking about. I mean, because there's a bond there with work and with. I mean, we're just around each other all the time, and so there is a probably something similar to that happens.
Yeah, and you can imagine all kinds of stuff that might have popped up in Paul's writings later on. They're pitching earthly tents that are temporary. Soon there will be an everlasting home where you don't need to pitch tents. Sound familiar? So that kind of stuff just pops up, like it's sort of ingrained. Verses 12 through 17, of course, there is a problem. The Jewish people aren't happy with what's going on, so they cause a problem. Very famously in Gentile circles, again, the Jewish people are pretty controversial. The Gentiles don't understand their customs. So, verse 17, they all seized Sosthenes, the ruler of the synagogue, and beat him in front of the tribunal. Gallio, very much Roman, paid no attention to any of this. Gallio is like IDK. I don't know. Usually what happens is when a riot happens, like in this case, the governor will come out and say, guys, Rome is going to find out. And if Rome finds out what we're doing, we're all done for. So why don't we just break it up before everybody gets crucified? Come off it, is what he's saying, right? So they all break it up. So Paul realizes, all right, we kind of had our boiling point here. We need to go ahead and move on. Someone get for us verses 18 through 23. Acts 18 through 23.
So Paul still remained a good while. Then he took leave of the brethren and sailed for Syria. And Priscilla and Aquila were with him. And he had his hair cut off at Centuria.
Sure.
For he had taken a vow. And he came to Ephesus and left them there, but he himself entered the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. When they asked him to stay a longer time with them, he did not consent, but took leave of them, saying, I must by all means keep this coming feast in Jerusalem, but I will return again to you, God willing. And he sailed from Ephesus. And when he had landed at Caesarea and gone up and greeted the church, he went down to Antioch. After he had spent some time there, he departed and went over the region of Galilee and in order to strengthen all the disciples.
Sure. I'll give you credit for that.
Thanks.
So he's going back, not doing a victory lap, checking on everybody, making sure everything's good. Who does he take with him? Priscilla and Aquila, the people that he meets in Corinth. Why don't you guys come with me? Interesting, when we talk about Priscilla and Aquila, we usually think they're stationary. Paul meets them. Oh, I'll see you guys in a few years or months. No, they travel with Paul. They're seeing all this progress. The people in Paul's home congregation, which is Antioch, see that he's gathering disciples. Things are going well. They are encouraged. They're giving good reports. So Priscilla and Aquila are an active part of Paul's ministry, similar to one Timothy, his son of the faith, or Titus, his other son of the faith. Paul is strategically discipling people and then dropping them in different places to continue to develop the church. Do you see or sense anything like that happening in the church today? This is open for your comments.
Say that again.
This discipling and strategically giving people responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
I mean, right? Don't we, throughout the entire service, somebody's in charge of something?
Sure.
There's a lot of background workers.
Yeah, a ton, right?
Yeah.
Largely for us, we're more, I'm not really going to a different state though. Like I'm not leaving Alabama to go, right? So I'm staying pretty local, right? So again, that's a little bit of disconnect too. Paul's ministry is for the world. Ours might be a little more local. Yeah, but does everybody see what's going on there? He's bringing them along, continuing to disciple, to later strategically plant them somewhere else. Make sense? All right, let's.
You gonna breeze past the cutting hair?
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Did you have to take the Nazarite vow, or what's
That's a good
going on
point.
here?
Yes.
If so, when did that stop and why?
Yes, that's a good point. So he stops and cuts his hair, which does that remind us of any Old Testament Bible character? Samson. Right. So Samson is someone under the Nazarite vow. His mom and daddy are told by the Lord, don't give him any strong wine, don't cut his hair, don't do X, Y, and Z. Samson does all of that, which is kind of part of the story. He's such a goofball, and God still uses him. Paul then is going to take the same Nazarite vow, no wine, X, Y, and Z. So he cuts his hair to begin a third missionary journey. Good question. When does he get done with that? Anybody know? There's another section where he finally cuts his hair. Anybody know?
Just before he's arrested for the last time we hear about him.
Yeah, right after his third missionary journey, he goes back to Jerusalem, cuts his hair. It's almost like, in a weird way, it's like an offering, a sacrifice. I've abstained this long. You're sort of symbolically cutting that. Yeah. So for his whole third missionary journey, which is probably a few years, several months anyway, he's growing his hair long, gets back to Jerusalem, cuts it. It's a very Jewish thing to do. Yeah. Any questions or thoughts about that? A question, why do you think he would do that? I mean, you could do a Nazirite vow anytime it's a vow you can take. Why would he do that here and now? Before his third missionary journey. A question, does Paul know this is his third and final missionary journey?
Yeah.
We know. I mean, he might know, but it kind of gives the sense that he like senses something else going to happen, and it's like, well, it might be kind of it. Maybe. Thoughts about that?
I think, is this the sequence of events where it leads to somebody telling him, you can't go to Jerusalem?
Yes. Exactly right. Yeah, they're looking to get you. And he's like, exactly right. Yep, exactly right. Okay, continue reading 24 through 28. Acts 18, 24 through 28.
Now a Jew named Apollos, a native of Alexandria, came to Ephesus. He was an eloquent man, competent in the scriptures. He had been instructed in the word of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he spoke and taught accurately the things concerning Jesus, though he knew only the baptism of John. He began to speak boldly in the synagogue, but when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. And when he wished to cross to Achaia, the brothers encouraged him, brethren, and wrote to the disciples to welcome him. When he arrived, he greatly helped those who through grace had believed, for he powerfully refuted the Jews in public, showing by the scriptures that the Christ was Jesus.
So again, in Luke's traditional way, verse 24, now a Jew, as opposed to a Gentile, named Apollos. He's a native of Alexandria. Alexandria at the time was a huge Jewish learning hub. They had famously the Library of Alexandria. Supposedly there were several Jewish texts that are now lost to us forever because it burned. But he's an eloquent man. He's doing good. He wants to preach Christ. What is his drawback? What does he still have to learn?
More than the baptism of John.
Yeah, he knows the baptism of John, which means that he's heard the gospel up to a certain point. He knows about Jesus. He knows about John the Baptist's endorsement of Jesus. He believes that Jesus is the Christ, and he's missing that little bit. That seems to be a common thread. Interesting that the gospel is becoming kind of in stages to people. So, who is there to aid Apollos, a very learned man? So, disciples of Paul the Apostle. They've never met. It's a happenstance in Ephesus that Paul's left them there. While they're there, they're like, hey, you're doing really good. Let's finish the story and get you on a better track. Priscilla and Aquila are Jews who got kicked out of Rome, and they're like, well, let's make the best of it. Let's go to Corinth. They meet this weirdo who's also making tents named Paul, disciple of Jesus Christ. He disciples them. They go around and follow him. They go back on his missionary journey with him. He leaves them in Ephesus. They meet a man who wants to be a preacher. And these two, out of nowhere, just this couple, ends up, I guess, helping create one of the most powerful preachers in the early church. Remember 1 Corinthians 3? They're having a division. Ironically, where are Priscilla and Aquila living when they meet Paul? What was that? Corinth. Very good. 1 Corinthians 3. They're having this problem. Some are saying, I am of
Apollos.
Paul. Yeah, I am of Cephas or Peter. I'm of Apollos. Apollos has made it to Corinth at this time. And they're like, this guy's really good. Like, Peter was all right. and Paul says some weird stuff, but Apollos is our guy. He's that good, right? He's on the same level, again, as Paul and Peter, who are apostles. These guys are like, this guy is legit. Who are the couple that helped him along to that point? Why Priscilla and Aquila? Here's my point. Just like people have specific abilities and talents and leanings, couples also have this same thing. Your identity as a couple might not be that you're super learned and you can sit down with anyone and just discuss the scriptures. Maybe you're still working on that. Doesn't have to be. Maybe, like Priscilla and Aquila, you were just really good at hosting. You're very hospitable. Again, that is essential to Paul's mission in Corinth. Where does he stay when he's in Corinth for a year and a half? He bunks up with Priscilla and Aquila. Maybe you're good at finding people who need some help or need encouragement, right? Every couple has this little flavor to them. The real question is, how do I then put that into work for the good of the church? Those of you who are in a program or you're doing something for the church, I'll let you speak freely. How did you get to that point?
Trying.
What?
Trying different things,
Right?
you know.
So you see like a need
Yeah,
and you think, I can do that.
yeah,
And you start doing it.
sure.
Right. Sure. Or maybe someone takes you under their wing too and says, I sense that you guys can do this. And then you start doing it. And all of a sudden you are that person that does that. Priscilla and Aquila probably had no idea they could do this kind of thing. But they end up, through their encouragement and learning, developing one of the best preachers in the first century church. Right? We have that same kind of potential, maybe not on the same exact level, but again, we have that same potential in us. And I think the Ephesians 5 thing, submitting to one another, all things working together into one body, kind of goes with that. I want to end with some call outs for Priscilla and Aquila. 2 Timothy 4:19. Greet Priscilla, and Aquila. So Priscilla even has like a shortened nickname, which is kind of cool, Prisca. They got nicknames, which is pretty neat. So Priscilla and Aquila are with Timothy when Paul writes to Timothy the second time. 1 Corinthians 16 and verse 19, the churches of Asia greet you, Aquila and Prisca. Greet you heartily in the Lord with the church that is in their house. Priscilla and Aquila aren't even in Corinth, and they're still hosting people in their house. Interesting. Romans 16, 3-5. Greet Prisca and Aquila, my fellow workers in Christ Jesus, who risked their own necks for my life, to whom not only do I give thanks, but also all the churches of the Gentiles also greet the church that is in, guess what? Their house. Ironically, they get kicked out of Rome. Thank you. Paul writes a letter to the Romans, and it comes full circle where he says, these guys have developed to the point where they go back to their home city and they are still spreading the gospel. They are still hosting the church in their home. The point being, in our marriages, with what God's given us, we might not see what we can do now, but it's little baby steps. And it's little steps of faith that we take. Will I be good at it? Maybe not. Will I try it? I need to redirect and say, that's definitely not for me. Perhaps. But we're never going to know as couples and marriages unless we take a little step and see what we can do for the good of the church. Questions and thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the point you made about the influence on Apollos, and it's just the one thing you read in that text, and probably unless it's mentioned like that, won't think about it again. But just the impact of what then Apollos went on to do. So it just one thing, just little things, So
Exactly right. As we close, I also want to mention, you kind of hear this a lot about women, like women stay silent, whatever. The fact that it mentions Priscilla specifically, the lady, teaching Apollos, shows us that there's room for ladies even teaching preachers. Morgan's taught me so much stuff that, and usually I can tell by her face if I'm doing bad. So even there's a teaching moment there, right? So there's a place for that where like women be silent, but don't at all think that there's no place for discipleship or learning in that way. Again, there's a reason the Bible says Priscilla and Aquila, both of them work in this way. That's completely fine and I think appropriate for the gospel. Closing thoughts or comments? The light's turning off on us.
Turn it on.
I guess we're done. Thank you all for your attention.
Oh, the youth want to go home, huh?
Dude, they're like,